How does it feel to know that you've screwed up? You screwed up your income, you've screwed up your reputation, and last but not least, you've completely, royally fucked up your own image. The one single thing that you value the most. You've not only tainted your own image, you've tainted the image of everyone who works with you. And for what? What have you ultimately achieved from any of this? You're continuing to lose your advertisers, and you continue to create this atmosphere of uncertainty and distrust. Now at this point it's pretty obvious I'm talking about game bloggers, and I've been putting off the subject of Gamergate for a while, mainly due to the fact that I've really had nothing new to say on the matter. But with major companies like Intel pulling ads from Gamasutra, Gamergate has really been pushed into a new direction. Those who oppose it are absolutely desperate, absolutely fucking desperate to accuse anyone as being a sexist and a misogynist. They hold on to any piece of information that you can use to discredit Gamergate. A good example of this is the sock puppet argument. As soon as Gamergate started gathering momentum, a second hashtag known as NotYourShield started up, the objective of which was to discredit the idea that gaming is dominated by straight white males, which is a narrative that's been held onto by the gaming press for years. And it was expected that anyone who supported the Gamergate hashtag would be instantly labelled as such. But the simple idea that all races and all genders hate the lack of integrity within game journalism has hit them so hard that they've actually had to label anyone who uses the hashtag as a sock puppet. Anything that doesn't fit with their narrative is instantly dismissed as a lie, despite the mountain of people who don't fit the stereotype of straight, white and male. One of the best examples of the post-Intel anger from the anti-Gamergate contingency came from Ryan Cooper for the week. He starts by saying, "A miasma of reactionary cultural resentment, calling itself Gamergate, has been bubbling on the internet sewers for months now." Already we can see Ryan has perfect restraint within his writing. He has absolutely no bias towards any side. He continues, "The history, motives and goals of the movement are both complex and vague." Well, yes, demanding journalistic integrity is certainly complex and vague. I mean, I can understand entirely why you don't understand the concept of journalistic integrity, just based on the second word you used in the first sentence. But I shall reluctantly push on through this pile of horseshit. But its activities have made news again last week when they successfully pressured computer chip manufacturer Intel to drop an advertisement campaign on the developer site Gamasutra. Which is true. People did email Intel. From all examples posted, they were polite and pretty much straight to the point. They pointed out the numerous examples of corruption within the gaming industry, and for the most part their efforts seem to have paid off. Intel pulled ads from Gamasutra, though I highly doubt Gamergate was the only reason they did this. For all we know, some of Gamasutra's actions may have been questionable within the law, hence Intel would no longer want to be associated with them. And the fact that Intel did end their advertisement campaign should serve as an example that there is something seriously wrong within the gaming industry. I highly doubt Intel, a multi-billion-dollar corporation, removed ads from a single website simply because anonymous people were emailing them. Oh, and by the way, boycotting Intel may not be so easy. You see, you can't get away from Intel. In some shape or form, they're making money from you right now. But back to Ryan's article. He continues to explain exactly what Gamergate is by using Tumblr as a source. Yep. And by the way, he calls this the best analysis, despite the fact that it's horribly one-sided and completely misses out everything involving Gamergate. Instead, it focuses on opportunistic shit-flingers who are prevalent on both sides of the debate. But let's return to Ryan's unreasonable piece of shit article. Let's look at what the movement does do. Who are the Gamergate heroes? One is Milo a British writer for bargain basement right-wing sites like Breitbart London, because he leaked a trove of basically anodyne emails between game journalists, thus giving the appearance of a confirmation to Gamergate conspiracy monglers. Except for the fact they were anything but meaningless. They essentially proved that game journalists were working together to spin a narrative. I mean, we've known they've been doing it for years, but this was the first time we've had actual proof of them doing so. It completely explained why dozens of articles were released within hours of each other, all spouting the same line. Gamers are dead. Gamers are not your audience. But anyway, let's press on with Ryan's article. Ironically, had a little but sneering contempt for gamers before he spied a chance to make some right-wing converts. Yeah, that's exactly why he sided with Gamergate. You know, he's a sneaky conservative, out to convert the common man into a dumbed-down, right-wing, conservative machine. Dismiss these emails as, monotonous, they're meaningless, and your entire reason for why they're meaningless is Milo is a conservative, kind of raises a few questions. But I do have to agree with you, Milo's actions are somewhat questionable. He has attacked gamers in the past and quite harshly criticized them, downright insulted them at times. But this does not make the emails instantly irrelevant. But anyway, fuck this article. Let's move on to Ryan's 5-minute podcast. Let's hear the man himself.
Hi, I'm Ryan Cooper, national correspondent at TheWeek.com. And today I'd like to talk about the gaming world's misogyny problem.
Holy fuck, it's Dr. Steve Brule.
One particularly nasty group of gamers has been nicknamed the Taliban of video gaming.
Right, that makes perfect sense, comparing a terrorist organization who actively murder people for no real reason to misogynists on the internet.
For the relentless abuse of women who dare to participate in or criticize their world. The gamer Taliban are mostly typical online trolls who organize themselves on anonymous message boards like 4chan and Reddit.
Okay, you use the term troll. Now, a troll is someone who deliberately aggravates and causes controversy for the reaction. They feed off this shit. And as the old saying goes, the only way to win is not to play. Ignore them, and see how long they stick around. The only reason they're relevant is because you're making them relevant. And the more you continue to call them the Taliban, more people are gonna go, hey, let's try and get some lols out of these fucks.
They often argue that gaming should be preserved as a safe male space, where female video game characters can be relegated to the non-essential.
And how many people are like that? This isn't some massive contingency on the internet. Half the time this is just a narrative that's been spun up by fucks like you as a way of creating a shitstorm, and this will be further demonstrated by some of your later points.
The gamer Taliban's worldview is heavily tinged with paranoia. They postulate an organized conspiracy carried out by the media and game developers, pushing a social justice agenda that real gamers don't want.
Oh yeah, by the way, this conspiracy kind of exists. I mean, try searching Digra sometime. There's transcripts of their conferences where they quite literally talk about pushing a social justice agenda. This isn't paranoid speculation. This is a large group which is quite far-reaching.
These are the people who savagely attacked one female game reviewer for giving Grand Theft Auto V a 9 out of 10 score.
And this is the example I'm talking about. This was a minor event. And the person in question is Caroline Petty, who got a lot of criticism and some hatred after she deducted points from GTA 5's score because she believed the game was sexist. Yes, the people who got angry over this were dumb, but this was hardly anywhere near the scale that people make it out to be.
They hounded another female game developer off of Twitter for daring to include a gay relationship in her game, Dragon Age 2.
Okay, now you're just lying your ass off. Criticism of BioWare and Jennifer Hepler has always existed, and they don't criticize her because she's a woman. They criticize her because she's a shitty writer, and again, harassment really wasn't that prevalent.
They pressured Intel to drop an advertising buy because they didn't like a particular op-ed.
Who happened to make tweets which were extremely questionable.
Specific death threats against 2 other women in gaming drove them from their homes.
Yet he directly connects this to Gamergate, despite the fact that the majority of Gamergate supporters told people to ignore Anita Sarkeesian, even when she used the hashtag herself.
Thankfully, there's good reason to believe that the gamer Taliban are losing this fight.
Just like you're losing advertisements.
For one, the big-budget AAA pillar of the video game industry, home of the most reliably sexist tropes, is stagnant and troubled.
This is a completely subjective opinion. Games like Grand Theft Auto 5 continue to break world records, yet Grand Theft Auto 5 is considered one of the most sexist games ever made. So in your mind, big-budget games are going stagnant, yet in reality they're selling more than ever before.
For 2, adult women now constitute a greater fraction of the game-playing public than young men.
This is another subjective point. The real thing that pushes women ahead of male gamers is mobile gaming. The majority of articles on the subject openly admit that more women play mobile games than men, and mobile gaming is an ever-expanding market.
If being a young, straight, white male used to be the only legitimate game-playing identity, it is being crushed under the wheel of history.
Actually, no, this is the stereotype that people like you used to place on gamers. The majority of gamer stereotypes all came from people who were against gaming. In theory, this is what pushed a lot of women away from gaming. Even now, with gaming a multi-billion-dollar industry, the majority of people still view gamers as straight white males, despite how many cultures and how many countries have adopted it.
Like movies or books, games are now for everyone.
They've always been for everyone. Even if games are marketed towards men, it doesn't mean they're made just for men. Do you ever stop and think that maybe the reason why gaming opened up to a larger audience is because the audience opened up to gaming? A lot of the stigmas that used to exist around gamers are no longer existent. Which is why making articles about gamers being dead and how gamers aren't your audience is in many ways counterintuitive.
Frankly, the vitriol female video game critics receive is only a bit worse than what other prominent women and minorities receive online every day of the week.
Why do you only focus on women and minorities? I mean, Chris Chan's not the best example now, but he received harassment too. I mean, he even had his girlfriend stolen by a man in a pickle costume. Where's all the articles about him?
As female bloggers have noted, neither the police nor big companies like Twitter and Facebook take prejudice abuse half as seriously as they should.
Maybe because the sites are very big and very hard to moderate. I mean, you're talking about websites which now have billions of users. Trying to keep that shit moderated ain't easy.
Furthermore, making death threats is a crime, for which offenders should be prosecuted whenever cases can be made.
And people argue against this?
And finally, for worried gamers out there, rest assured, games aren't going anywhere.
Well, no shit. This idea that gamers believe games are going to be taken away by social justice warriors is condescending and dumb. The majority of these controversies start over nonsense, often being completely manufactured, which makes it even more funny when someone tries to create controversy and fails in the process. But at the end of the day, issues like Gamergate are nothing new, but they have made a lasting impact. Websites like The Escapists have changed their ethics policy. At the end of the day, Gamergate won. Despite its shaky beginnings with Zoe Quinn, Gamergate has just continued to highlight and put game journalism ethics at the forefront of public scrutiny.